Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Is That So?
Oh, hi.
And today's episode, I want to talk about something that's been branded as quiet, but it's actually got a very, very loud strategy. And this topic is coming from the fashion world. I was rewatching Succession as a show. For those of you who haven't seen, it's a show. It's a dark comedy sort of a show about people from the media world, and it's got a lot of family politics attached to it. And a lot of people say it's a story about the Murdoch family, but I'm not really sure if it's the true thing. But the interesting thing that I picked up from that was this trend of quiet luxury that started kicking in, which was how the rich wear brands that we would know nothing about. And this came about because was watching a reel, and it showed like a lot of people in India now are just wearing logos here and there. And the contrarian view to that is there is a world of quiet luxury. But as the internet's algorithm would have it, the minute you research or even type or even say as much a word as quiet luxury, the next 30 reels that you see on Instagram or the content that you see on any other site is just about that very topic. And that got me thinking, if it is really quiet luxury, why is it being spoken about so loudly now? And why now? Like, why this counterculture sort of a movement is really kicking in? So, one question, is quiet luxury really quiet luxury? Or is it just loud marketing? Uh, and you can answer from both marketing and quality perspective. And second question is it really counterculture kicking in here or some other phenomena that's at play? Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So first of all, I haven't seen Succession, so I have no idea.
Why?
Uh,
What rock have you been living under?
it's the rock called when some people around you talk so much about a series that you somehow
You're
feel
like,
compelled not to see it for a while.
yeah.
It's so weird,
My
right?
story is, my story is I watched 3 seasons of it, and before the fourth season were to start, I actually got my wife to watch all three, so I watched them all together. So
Okay.
I
All right.
watched the first 3 seasons twice, then we watched the fourth season together, and then we watched the fourth season together again.
Sorry, my hi-fi got cut, but I'm the same
No, no, I
person.
saw it. I saw it. It
Maybe I
was
should back out of the
in
frame
between.
and you can do a high five.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
Okay.
it.
All right. So coming back. Okay. Here's my initial thoughts on this. Right. If I look at luxury, right? Luxury itself has changed definitions. So earlier, if you had luxury, it was all about being ostentatious and show offy. And now luxury has changed to something which is downplayed. In fact, people here in the UK are actually literally wearing strangely homeless clothes, okay, or even just trying to show that they're not using any brands and stuff like that. And that is certainly a countercultural trend that I'm observing right here. The second thing is, and this leads to a deeper point, it's been done by a lady called Jasmine Bina, who I really admire and respect, and she's been writing a lot of stuff on LinkedIn around culture. And one of the thoughts was around the fact that people are now communicating that they are wealthy by isolating themselves rather than showing off. And that seems to be one of those cultural trends, that so people are literally building bunkers in case of a nuclear explosion if you're like super rich like Mark Zuckerberg,
Yeah.
rather than create a antilla like our favorite billionaire in India. So I think that would certainly indicate to me that there is a countercultural trend involved over here.
Interesting. Swapnil, your views.
I actually have a little different thought, honestly, on this.
Hmm.
I think luxury always was about calling yourself out differently from others.
Yeah.
Um, in the and if we were to look at it from that lens, possibly the whole ostentatiousness or the over the top expression that we are talking about in the past came from the fact that clearly the royalty had, and the peasantry did not,
Hmm.
right? The reason why purple became the color of the royals was because
Yeah.
that was a dye that a normal commoner could not afford. Right? So luxury
Correct.
has always been about being exclusive. Luxury has always been about standing apart, right? I think what also happened is that this concept of quiet luxury
Hmm.
became a big thing as societies changed from royalty to, let's say, a level where people kind of, again, people had the haves and have nots. And I think they were the ones who also, therefore, started this whole trend of, okay, I have and you don't, and therefore I wear a brand, and therefore that whole quiet luxury, that true luxury, became that definition of saying it doesn't need to announce itself, right? So the Chanels of the world, the Pradas of the world, these are the brands that became the definition of quiet luxury, right? They'll have, and if you think about their format of tackling consumer journey, even there also there's exclusivity. There are no
Hmm.
prices. Prices are only on request. If you ask for it, you can't afford it. That kind of stuff started happening. Cut to the recent, let's say, the last couple of decades, and
Yeah.
clearly there are a lot of people who today have the money who did not come from money.
Yeah.
Right? So those aristocrats who always had money now had a set of people who have the money, and it is this set of people who are now saying, "Hey, I have the money. Let me flaunt it."
Okay. Quick
Right?
question, which is a
So
clarification.
yeah,
This I have this flaunted, like I'm going to use two terms which I'm sure you're super familiar with. But are you trying to give us those concepts of old money and new money in some sense, which is
somewhere yes, somewhere yes. It's not just old money and new money. I'm saying, see, what is happening is that's the journey that everyone kind of takes. I have the money now, let me show it to the world, and then
yep.
hey, I've had this money, I am different. So this counterculture, subculture that we talk of quiet luxury today is
Hmm.
coming into the discussion because there are too many people who are into this loud luxury, right? As in you have a big Balenciaga tag that is there just to show that I'm wearing a Balenciaga. A
Yeah.
Michael Kors will have MK written all over, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, if you see some of that work kind of slipped into the Gucci's of the world, also they are also now putting their tags all over because
Yeah.
they realize that there is a set of people who want to use and show Gucci like that, but
Correct.
there's a clear set of people who say, and this is now being looked at as a counterculture. It was always a part of a subculture where they said, I don't need to announce,
Correct.
right? Supreme as a brand,
Yeah.
yeah, you never saw the tags, right?
But
In fact, in India, Will's Lifestyle, when they came, they did not kind of have their tags all around.
yeah.
And there were friends who used to say, "Itni महंगी shirt खरीदी." I had a friend who used to wear Will's Lifestyle shirt, and the first question we asked him was, "इतनी महंगी shirt खरीदी है तो brand भी नहीं दिखा तो फायदा क्या हुआ?"
Correct.
Right? So so very long answer, but the I was trying to set where this is coming from. So it was always a subculture. It continues to be a subculture. It's just that it's coming into the news because there is a lot of people who entered this luxury segment. There is a
Hmm.
mass, there's a boom in the set of people who can afford, and their language is very different from how it was in the past. A lot of that, for example, in the Western world has come from people who, for example, look at how many black Americans have moved up. A lot of them not from, let's say, not from industry, but from the effort of and becoming huge successes in the media world,
Yeah.
right? And their expression of I have the money is
Still
diametrically opposite,
correct. Still
right?
very flashy.
And
If I,
that's what we see. For us, that's the definition of luxury today because they are the window for us to the world that we are witnessing. Compared to them, now suddenly this quiet luxury becomes a thing because Oh wow, this is the other thing. We are always in the look for in the search for the new. So quiet luxury is not new. It's always existed. It's just that it's possibly finding, so to speak, a resonance in the market simply because I think the loud luxury part has
Is
become
over.
almost the mainstream, so to
Yeah,
speak,
correct.
of luxury.
I think that's where I was wanting to get both of your point of views. Do you think it's the branded version of luxury with logos everywhere has sort of hit that critical mass where people who want to signal they are rich, and I definitely believe it's a signaling thing that I belong to this exclusive community that doesn't engage in that feeling that people want to communicate with this more than anything. And that's where I feel like culture is important. And maybe, just maybe, this could be cyclical as well. Like today, quiet luxury is the in thing. 15, 20, 50 years from now, it may be the reverse. Or in pockets of the world, this could be reverse. And I'm going to give a very bad example, but I see this difference in India a lot. Every time I travel to Delhi, just changing some pin codes within Delhi, this behavior sort of changes. And when I say Delhi, I'm carrying Gurgaon as an extension of it. But there is that difference of North Delhi and Punjabi Bagh sort of wearing those logo studded t-shirts and belts. And then slowly as you move down south towards Gurgaon, that sort of change away. I also feel, and I want your POVs on this. Do you think the avenues to explore luxury, which helps you signal you're a class apart, have expanded? Like earlier, where you could show this was clothes, house, roti kapda makan in some sense, but now that definition has expanded with the word Wi-Fi coming in. Yeah.
I'll tell you a little story from a Paulo Coelho book, which I read. I don't remember which one. It
Okay.
was about some prostitute actually talking to some guy in a restaurant, and she said
Yeah,
she said that all the guys who are really desperate to show that they're somebody, wear a suit, wear a tie, and the really rich people are the ones who don't really care about what they're wearing, so they're like quietly sitting in a corner, in the most shabby clothes. So
Yeah.
there was something. I agree with Swapnil. There was something always there, which has now bubbled up to the surface. Now I would probably take this discussion. What the thought that came into my mind was, does that connect to people actually not wanting the typical brand stuff in a very ostentatious way as well? So it can probably go to a slightly broader category, wherein the way in which brands have evolved is from things to people, right? So from things to people. And if I look at how things are shaping, I think the speed at which, especially the fashion sector, and Shein is a good example or whatever, you're having these really fast fashion cycles, which means
Mhm.
that everything is very rapidly commoditized. There is very little moat to build around a product, which then is a huge brand that can be protected for a very long time. Now, in this case, how do you then move ahead and communicate similar values that you think your thing is communicating, and then it suddenly kind of lends itself to the countercultural trend that is over here, where you're saying that, hey, I'm a brand because I don't wear brands,
Yeah.
and that seems to be something which is something that I would probably think it's growing, definitely in the UK or in the Western world, certainly growing.
see, the way I see it honestly is, by definition, luxury works on exclusivity and shortage, right? As in, premium comes from exclusivity and shortage. The reason why, for example, I'm saying I know this,
Mm.
the fact that diamond is premium because of an
Limited.
inherent creation of limited availability. It's not that
Mm.
the world does not have a lot of diamond, but just that there is this almost enforced. shortage that leads to
Mhm.
diamonds becoming premium. And now, when the world has come out with the technology to make lab grown diamonds, now they're trying to push across that argument of saying if it's natural, then it will have a flaw, and therefore flawed diamonds are what you should be looking for. Um, but that's besides the point. The point I was trying to say is luxury by definition works on exclusivity, and I have it, you don't have it, right? Um, and therefore, whether it's fashion cycles, whether it is products, whether it is people, it will continue to work on exclusivity. Whoever becomes, as we say now, overexposed, overused, that will stop being the definition of, because
Luxury.
see very clearly the people who believe that they are the true luxury, inherently they believe that they are not like everyone else, and therefore one of the ways by which you prove that is that if someone else is doing it, I won't do it,
Hmm.
right? Which basically means what's going to happen is, for example, when something becomes absolutely mass, they will stop using it. Now,
Yeah.
one of the things that they're doing therefore now is that when everyone is roaming around wearing brands left, right, and center, then how do I stand out? And therefore, my expression is now becoming very, very different. Right
Yeah.
now, the Indian part that you were talking about, again, somewhere I think it's also a function of the fact that we moved from a society that was always um, a society of shortage. We
Yeah.
were a constrained society, people of constrained means, to a society which is now,
Very
well, I
consumption.
would say abundance, but there is
Yeah.
definitely not the challenge of constraint. And and then add the cultural nuances of how people are inherently, like, what should I say, designed. But I'm saying,
Hmm.
for example, North Indian Punjabi culture is always about showing off, right? They are that culture. While on the other hand, let's say, and I remember this from Tamil weddings, which I saw in the beginning of my career. It used to be so funny how, for example, in the same wedding, the the lady would be dressed to the nines in Kanjivaram sari and gold and so on and so forth. And the man would come with a half sleeve shirt tucked out and chappals, and the feet would be dirty because he's almost like, why am I here? Right? And I'm not talking someone who does not have the money. They have the money, but I'm saying that's how they are,
Yeah.
right? Uh, and it's a very interesting thing because Telugu culture is very different from how Tamil culture is,
Hmm.
right? So, for example, across coastal Andhra, the whiter your shirt, the more premium or equity is, right? So those are nuances that come in again from a point of view of how do we want to show that, well, I have and you don't have.
I think
Right?
I
Swapnil's
think he's,
My
dog is
dog.
agreeing. Yeah.
yeah, he's given his
Agreeing.
consent.
So while we wait for Swapnil, I just wanted to bring out a different nuance to this topic, right?
Yeah.
While I agree with whatever Swapnil is saying, there is a fundamental change in the way in which we understand luxury, which is
Mhm.
not related to shortage
Or
uh,
access.
of the things that we were relating shortage to now. So let's ask ourselves, what is shortage, right?
Hmm.
So if I look at what shortage is, it's time. Okay,
Right?
shortage is privacy. Shortage is space. Shortage. So all of those actually become indicators of luxury. Now, if I looked at what the indicators of luxury were before, it was, oh, being, all of that, the exact opposite of what I just said. So I
Yeah.
suspect that the shortage itself has shifted, and which is why the luxury, the understanding of luxury has shifted.
And therefore, avenues where luxury exists or where you choose to spend change. Like, would you buy a $500 jacket or a $500 business class ticket? Because it entitles you to that privacy or that comfort, which is what you're seeking, that you may not otherwise uh, get for. That's a very interesting
No, that's
perspective. But do
true. That's
you?
true. it's never thought it like that. But I'm saying it again puts the thing back to say there is a set of people who are saying, how do I separate myself from everyone else?
Not necessary. See, that's what I'm
No,
saying. It's not necessary. See, let's look at two kinds of people, right? The
Yeah.
kind of people, number one, are the people who have recognized that this is really valuable. Now, they
Mm.
might be doing it just because they realize it's valuable. The
So
people who
quality.
understand that, oh, now this is what the super rich or the super wealthy or the super successful are recognizing as valuable, are the ones who are signaling. So both of these
no, which
things.
is true. Which
Can
is
we,
no, no,
can we,
exactly. No, you and I are actually saying. So first and foremost, I think the point that you made is exactly what I was saying from the very beginning. There is a set of people who want to be a part of that group. There is a set of people who know, and then there is a set of people who want to be a part
want
of that.
to?
They'll
Yeah, yeah,
always follow, right? So, like we were talking about the $500. So there is a set of people who forever have flown in business class, right? Because well, that's how they are. Matlab, itna sara
That's how
paisa
they
hai, it
roll.
doesn't matter, right? That's the natural way of flying. It doesn't come to them as oh my god, right? But at the same time, if there is someone who's kind of taking their first business class flight, they will actually therefore ensure that they're wearing their best of clothes and so on and so forth because are are business class. So you're
Mm.
absolutely right. I was saying that it's a very interesting thing when you're saying that there is a set of people who are now looking at what's my next way or what's my next mechanism to say I have it, you don't have it,
yeah.
Hmm.
So, Krishna,
and
you were
how does
saying
that
something.
I
manifest?
had one point. I think
Yeah,
this is taking me back to that bell curve graph we used to learn about a product when something comes to the market. I think then it applies to culture as well. There are the early adopters who really appreciate the culture or the product for what it's really worth, which are your patriots in this case. Like, I appreciate whatever that t-shirt brand is, Brunello Cocelli, which Mark Zuckerberg also wears, which is a 25,000 plain t-shirt because of the quality or the percentage of cotton or whatever it holds. And then there's a second class of people which hits you closer to, oh, this is critical mass, this is a cool thing or the trend we want to hop on. And then once it hits that, these guys probably leave to greener pastures again,
Yep.
because I guess that's how culture or
so, so
counterculture
then
works.
then
Like
we are we
all,
are talking of then we are talking of showing off, right? And I'll give you a really
correct.
good example. I'll give you a really good. I did an interview recently with Santosh Desai of Future Brands, right? And I asked him. This was about his writing process and stuff like that for Micah. And I said that, do you know that you have over 2 lakh followers on LinkedIn? And he honestly did not
You
know.
know.
He didn't know, right? And he has, like, so, and what all he does is that he posts his articles from the Times of India thing, like Chitty
So
Chitty,
for that.
City City Bang Bang, right? I keep saying Chitty Chitty,
Yeah.
City City Bang Bang, and then he posts it, and he's got this absolutely inorganic following. He has not published anything. He has not. So in my head, he's doing the whole equivalent of quiet luxury over there. Now there are so many amongst us who say, "Yay, I got 5,000, I got 10,000, whatever," right? And it's become a milestone of sorts. So
Yeah.
I literally see these two sets
I'm
of
one of
people.
them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I literally see these sets of people, and it then goes beyond luxury. So what is luxury? Luxury is the ability to say, "Hey, I don't know how many followers I have, man. I don't care." And suddenly, then the whole thing goes beyond fashion. It goes beyond clothes. It goes beyond everything.
I think if I could extend your point, I think what you're saying is the inflection point where something really becomes luxury is till the point people don't know, because
Yeah.
it's part of
Yeah,
this
yeah.
secret
See,
club,
the
and the
point is
minute
that
the
only.
secret's out, it's like it's no longer luxury.
See, the
Yeah.
whole point is how. So on one hand, when one can say, okay, that's what luxury is to say, hey, I have 2 lakh followers and I don't even know. But it's about, see, in my mind, it's about being exclusive. So tomorrow, if everyone wants to be popular, honestly, the true luxury would be in anonymity, right? The people
Exactly.
who are, and I would have, I would like to bet that the people who asked for their digital footprint to be erased in Europe, etc., are the people who are these ultra looks people who do not want,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
absolutely.
Because that's their way of saying. I keep on going back and I'm repeating this for the maybe nth time and saying, I have it, you don't have it, right?
Yeah.
And
See,
that's what
but the
keeps on
people,
coming
but
back.
the people who have it, really genuinely have it, don't even say it. You
See,
see,
that's the point. That's their way. See, which is why they say true luxury is not, it announces itself, right? Because for them, and that's where the reality is for them, it just comes naturally,
yeah, no, no,
right?
But I think
I remember during my engineering days, one of my batchmates actually was from a very very rich family, right? So they had a lot of money, and we used to all, and there were like this batch of us, we'll come back by train, try and travel without tickets, and then take a bus to come back home. And this guy once said, okay, let me kind of come along with you, right? He
yeah.
was from a family where he said, I went to my dad and said, papa, अब मैं बड़ा हो गया हूँ, मेरे को BMW motorcycle लिवा दो. This is in the 90s when that motorcycle was worth 4 lakh rupees or something,
Yep.
right? And obviously our birthdays were like, चलो ठीक है बेटा आज जलेबी लेके आएंगे. But
Yeah.
the point is that for him, he came with us in the train that day. We had all decided, like always, to travel without ticket. Then a TTE came, he caught us. Then we cooked up a story. Everyone paid 10 bucks and so on and so forth. And he, out of absolute genuine surprise, asked train में ticket भी लेनी होती है. Because honestly, had never traveled by train. He used to
Yeah.
go from his house to Kurukshetra in a chauffeur-driven car. He never stayed in the hostel. He stayed in a four-room house all to himself.
So
But I'm saying
I'm
because for
wondering.
him that is what was natural.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. I'm wondering now, now that we're talking about this, what are the indicators of people who are these wannabe guys who are catching on? What do you think will constitute luxury in the next few years? I'm
I think
wondering.
it's like a Maslow hierarchy thing where
Hmm.
social needs for that person triumph over any other need. Like if they were to build their hierarchy, it would always be the need to feel validated, mattering way more than anything else in life. And and I think, and it's just an opinion. I don't have data to validate this. With as long as we have social media in the form that we have, where we do see perfect lives and perfect pictures, I think this number will keep increasing. There's a parallel point that I did want to make, which was this concept of luxury that we discussed. I feel can explain how pop culture kicks in, how trends come up, how because a lot of times it's like Facebook used to be the cool thing when I was in school, and the minute my dad joined it, I was like, I want to be off it. And
Yeah, yeah.
I heard my 11-year-old niece react similarly to Instagram when her parents also joined it, saying, "Oh my God, you've made this uncool officially." So whatever is in pop culture, be it music, be it like luxury in some sense, I think there is that play of counter slash anti culture that kicks in, and that's where the cyclicity sort of happens. But that
I,
was a
no,
big
no,
one for
absolutely.
the learning. Yeah.
No,
So
well said, well said.
absolutely. If I look at just to add to your point, Krishni, if I look at a trend called minimalism, right?
Mm.
It's a trend, and I think it's a trend which can be deeply connected to luxury.
Oh, it
Uh,
is.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
See, again, and
Very good one,
interesting
actually.
that you mentioned because I wanted to talk about this right in the first monologue, but it had become so long.
Yeah.
Initially, kings and their palaces were all about maximalism.
Correct.
Everything was excess. And then
Yeah.
they realize now there are people. So, people who are new into money, they'll have excessive houses. People who've been there are now into minimalism.
so I
So,
have a
they'll
question.
say
I
it's
have a
lesser.
question for Sergi. So if I look at Antilla, okay, and if I look at so where does that and that grand wedding,
For
where
that,
the hell does
sir,
that?
please let us be clear. I'm saying that's where we were saying there are also cultural nuances, right? Well, let us be clear. They are also second generation rich, no?
Yeah.
Hmm.
But
Right?
that
Now
interestingly,
the
I
point
found,
is the point is how will they start expressing it three generations down is a very different thing. The other
abs-
thing is, well, one can always argue the fact that just because you have the money does not mean you have the
Yes.
taste.
Yes, Krishni, go for it. Sorry.
I was taking counts of Swapnils just because today we only got one. What is this? But
Okay.
I think interestingly to that, I found another counterculture or signaling moment there. I think Ambani's wedding was a lot of lavish celebrations and everything. On the contrary, we three were in my car when just next door the Adani wedding happened, and it didn't even feel like a moment of noise in Ahmedabad itself, where this wedding happened to take
Hmm.
place. And a
Interesting.
lot of their PR in the newspapers was, hey, we don't believe in flashy things. We have money, but we don't want to talk about it. So I think while there are second generation nuances, I feel like counterculture sort of comes in when people also want to signal, like, I stand out from the crowd, right? So the contrarian view that I'm picking up is, on one end is the people who need that social validation, that hey, I'm part of this group, and on the other there is this segment which is perpetually, while prioritizing for quality or premiumness, also trying to make a statement, hey, I'm different from the crowd. Don't put me in the same pit. I'm not there. I stand alone. Yeah.
That's the beauty of the world, isn't it? That both sides exist. I
Yeah.
think we've sorted this topic out. What do you think? I think we've
Yes,
sorted
but
this topic out.
I'm still waiting for the standout fact of the day from Swapnil.
No, I was about to say I now finally mean what hitting out of the park means. Oh, so I actually wanted to talk to you about something very, very interesting. And it's not about luxury, but it's about creating impressions,
Hmm.
right? So I don't know if you heard of this restaurant called the Shed at Dulwich,
No.
No.
British restaurant. In 2017, it was the highest rated restaurant um, on TripAdvisor,
Okay.
right? Without serving a single person.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's okay.
Because
And
it
by the
thinks
way,
to,
it's Dulwich, not Dulwich. It's
sorry,
Dulwich.
Dekha? Dulwich, okay.
But why? I don't know anything. Na
Right.
pronunciation story. Tell me.
So the funny thing is, there's this guy. His name is Uba Butler,
Okay.
and he started working for The Wire. And he did this social experiment to say that fundamentally the reviews on TripAdvisor can be bought,
Hmm.
Oh.
right? So he created a profile on TripAdvisor
Mm-hmm.
where dishes were created out of shaving foam, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Everything is fake. There's one full restaurant shed at the Shed at Dulwich, which is
Yeah.
out there. It's been created as this place, which is the place to go to. He asked his friends to start giving reviews. Reviews were received. It got to a level where fundamentally it was the highest rated restaurant in England. And the best part is that he actually opened it for one night, where his friends were given microwaved food. So, right.
Oh.
Now, the most interesting thing is that he became a celebrity, and he became a celebrity, and therefore what he started doing was that he actually started sending his lookalikes to TV shows, right?
Okay.
It basically got to a, so his whole career
So
is based on how you can fool the world, right
No, but
down to the place.
Swapnil,
it's a
Swapnil,
good social experiment, is what
and
I
not
was
just
picking
that,
up.
It can,
it connects with luxury because it is about scarcity, and
Yes.
exactly,
yeah.
right. So which is why I said it's just funnily it's connected to the topic. And the best part is he actually created a website which is called Book and Uber, right? In which you can get basically someone to do that job for you. So you can rent a butler who can be you, do your work,
Oh, it's like that.
right?
I don't know what, Danzo or
Right.
Chotu. There
So
used to be an
it's
app
called,
called
no, no,
Chotu.
not Chotu. See, Chotu is basically where you are getting someone to do your odd jobs.
Yeah.
He's saying you sit home and enjoy. This person will do that work for you. So
Oh,
it's
so it's
like
ChatGPT before ChatGPT era.
yes, if you were to think of it like that. So that person will go to the office, get blasted by a boss, rather than you needed to hear it from your boss. That
That's
was
so
called Book and Uba. It's also funny that his name is Uba and therefore he could do
Book and Uber.
whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All
that
right.
was
Well, there you go. You learn something new every day. I think we should
yeah,
call it okay before anything else
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Thank you so
Let's
much,
Book and
Captain.
Uba.
Yeah.
Book and Uber. And goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay.